Get ready to
race.
Run.
Oh, I already forgot the name of the movie.
That's right, folks. Welcome back to a whole new pod. I'm your host, Lucas Melby.
I'm your other host, Jacob Telejohn. I don't know what we're doing.
I'm ready to run away from this podcast.
I was literally thinking that when I was urinating downstairs. I was, how can we get this started? And I'm like, yeah, ready to run. The name of the movie. I want to get ready to run away from this. And glad we're on the same page.
Yeah. And I'm so wanting to be done with this DCOM that I'm not even going to try to redo this intro because Jacob was just talking about taking a piss. So that's staying in. That's how we roll here.
That's fine.
Silver lining, I guess, that we've been on track. This is, I think, our third episode in a row where we've stuck to our
2 weeks
upload schedule. So that's cool. But what's not cool is the DCOM we watched today.
Episode.
Which I guess before we get into it, if this was your rare first episode, this is a podcast where we watch Disney Channel original movies. We're watching all of them from Under Wraps being the first to whatever the live action Kim Possible, I don't know, or The Descendants 3. I think that was the most recent one. Don't be looking forward to Descendants 3 in this decade. I don't think we'll get to it by the end of 2020. So, or maybe even 2023.
2030.
If we get too many ready to runs, maybe we just going on a sabbatical for a bit for the podcast. But this was an interesting movie. It's not quite, it's a mess, but it's not even like a hot mess like Stepsister from Planet Weird. It's just not fun, really.
It's Horse Sens on steroids without the fun of Horse Sens.
So,
or the quality, or I don't know, the acting.
We don't need to shoot our load too early. Let's just get into it. The opening shot.
Sinbad might be listening. We don't know.
Yeah, the Sinbad. The opening credits maybe was the most excited we got for the whole movie. But the opening shot, probably one of the more inspired shots in the actual movie. It's just a long tunnel. It's kind of white. Yep. There's lots of light. It's misty, and then we see horses.
Lots of horses
with jockeys on them trotting out. And we get the title card, Ready to Run, which is possibly the most forgettable DCOM name that has ever been, to the point that it is hard to find anything about this movie. Also probably because nobody cares about it, but apparently there's a Dixie Chick song called Ready to Run. That's the first thing that comes up when you Google it.
This movie.
I was scrolling down through the Google list after typing in Ready to Run movie, and you pretty much get nothing of anybody talking about this movie. And it was so bottom of the barrel that I scrolled to, I think, the second page, and I was already get ready to run and watch the Sonic the Movie trailer.
Oh, no.
So really not strong SEO for Ready to Run, and probably not strong SEO for any of the cast and crew in it, bar possibly the one exciting person we saw, which was Sinbad.
We were pumped. He was the last name to be featured,
he was listed as Sinbad. So there's special, I think, billing and royalties that come to actors, instead of if you're a with somebody or an and somebody, you get a different pay scale, I think.
Really?
But Sinbad does not feature prominently in this movie. And the only other good part about, not the entire movie, but the opening credits is, if you're going to have a movie about horses, you want a director who sounds like he directs movies about horses. And this movie was directed by Dwayne Dunham.
Dwayne Dunham.
That should have just been a name of one of the horses in the movie, because there was some ridiculous names.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Dwayne. Then we're just into the action where we're getting a lot of cuts around a racetrack. We're seeing an announcer rattling off. We're seeing the racers at the gate. We're seeing just cuts to people talking, and it's a very weird intro because we're being shown these characters with no context, and it's like we don't know what's going on, we don't know who to care about. And there was a point where I, doing research about this movie, I knew that it's about a girl who wants to be a jockey, and there's a girl talking, but I'm like, that must not be our main character because it seems so inconsequential or unimpactful when she's being shown. Maybe because we've been trained recently that our main characters have to have narration going over what they're doing at first. But it's like, nope, that will be our character. Our main character's name is Corey,
and she's already, at least to me, she was already unlikable. Her voice was really annoying, and
And without sounding sexist, her voice was annoying in the sense that she is not a good actor.
And
in a way, when somebody's not a good actor and they're a kid, they just innately sound annoying and kind of whiny with how they talk, and that's a lot of her line delivery.
That's wrong in this. Yeah.
And I'll just get out ahead of the curve here to say I might call her Connie at one point because Corey is such a weird name, and if I screw up, Jacob can call me out if he catches it, but if he doesn't, write in with the tally sheet how many times Lucas says Connie in the Ready to Run episode. Yeah. But amongst other people were introduced, I shouldn't say people, were introduced to a horse.
Yes.
Thunderjam,
not Thunderbolt.
Good horse name. And he's at the starting line in the gates with a bunch of other horses. They all spring out, but wouldn't you know it, old Thunderjam is left behind. He's just not moving at all.
The owners of the horse, they all got their binoculars out and like, where is he? He must be in the middle of the pack. And then I think the announcer's the one that's like, and Thunderjam still in the gates. And then they'd go, drat, and
We're seeing that this horse is not very disciplined. He's kind of scared. Eventually he starts running, but it's not, I think he gets last or second to last because there's a weird part where a jockey gets bucked off of a horse.
And it cuts to real life footage of a guy and a horse like crashing.
Yeah, what we're assuming is they didn't want to create an actual horse crash because that's dangerous for animals. So they took actual footage of a horse race where some jockey got bucked off of the horse and then put that into the movie and try to match up horse colors and costumes to the footage.
I mean, it was a pretty good matchup, I thought.
Yeah, but as far as the cut between that footage
and
like
this, just grainy old
it's not like they were watching it on a TV screen. It was just, we're just going to cut to this and act like you don't notice. And maybe back on old tube TVs, 4x3 standard definition, it was less noticeable. But for us on a flat screen with HD... Yeah. Nice try. You didn't get us... I just about called it Horse Sens. You didn't get us Ready to Run.
I gotta write the title down.
One other horse that we only get mentioned a couple of times is a Wookie Cookie.
Wookie Cookie.
Which is... this movie's kind of front-loaded with stuff that I liked and then kind of runs out. Because Wookie Cookie... Why wasn't Wookie Cookie the main horse? Why did it have to be Thunderjam?
They brought up a number of different horses' names. And really the only one... And I don't think it was in this race. Or maybe it was... Cyclone.
Yeah, Cyclone is the evil horse.
Who talks even. You're going down there, Thunderjam. He just had like a really demonic kind of voice.
And you might think that us saying there's an evil horse who talks like a demon, hey, this movie sounds like it's kind of good. It's not. I was worried about this movie, and then I read the plot synopsis, and I'm like, okay, there's some stuff that is workable. But one of the first scenes we get with Corey actually talking, she's talking to... who we'll eventually learn is Mr. Machado, Hector Machado, a stable owner. And she's like, why can't I jockey? Why can't I jockey Wookie Cookie? And she's just whiny. And then we see Thunderjam's jockey, because this whole scene is taking place in the stables after the race. Yeah. And I don't even know who Wookie Cookie's horse is and why Corey would be able to jockey it.
Yeah, why that name was brought up.
We'll be introduced to the evil owner of horses, Mr. Garris, and maybe Wookie Cookie. Because Wookie Cookie, I think, was the one that bucked the rider and then got injured. So then we get to see the dark side of horse racing, where Mr. Garris is like, they say to destroy the horse. Yeah. Which, I don't know, send it to the glue factory or whatever. That's the fate of Wookie Cookie. Yeah. But the fate of Thunderjam is to be berated by his jockey, who says, Thunderjam, you're pathetic!
And Thunderjam, at this point, is owned by Mr. Garrison. It's his horse. It's his not main horse. I guess he does have...
Yeah, Mr. Garris is... horses. He's some rich, snooty white guy with maybe a British or Irish accent who must own a bunch of different horses, one of them being Thunderjam, and he's not very satisfied with him because he is kind of a scaredy cat that we'll learn as the movie goes along. Yeah. And seeing Corey, I almost said Connie, Corey sees the jockey berating Thunderjam and is like, see, I could be a jockey. I'm way better than that guy because I don't yell at my horse. Because that's the bar that needs to be...
Do not yell at horses.
Need to be cleared. So we kind of just leave Alf at the stable that nobody wants to be the jockey for Thunderjam, and that Wookie Cookie or another horse is maybe going to be destroyed. But we get to another scene of destruction when Corey goes home. And probably in any DCOM, this is the weirdest and most out there introduction to a family. Because we've had that in a lot of different movies where my family's so weird, but this one is.
They introduce them one by one, and it's literally it's grandma, and it's mom,
Abuelita,
and it's brother bear.
Yeah, Gabby, the brother, Gabby, who we see. Everybody loves horses, so he's pretending to ride a horse, and then Corey says, "You got my underwear on your head," and he's like, "I needed a helmet." So we're later told that it's
satin underwear because he does not like the cotton feel, and it gets stuck on his head.
Yep, and it's not really funny. It's just weird and kind of creepy. Weird. And she takes off her underwear. We see Abuelita because
he takes off her underwear, or the underwear on her head.
Yeah, I think she just rips it off. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we see Abuelita because Corey and Hector Machado. It's all kind of. Yeah. I believe this is somewhere in California, so there's lots of people of Spanish ancestry. And the actress who plays the grandma is known. She's kind of I don't know her name, but she's kind of a character actress that plays similar roles as elderly Mexican woman in movies. And her thing is she likes to fake bet on horse races
with toothpicks,
because not only is the kid pretending to be a jockey, he's also watching horse races, because in this land horse racing is just shown on television all of the time, and not just during the Triple Crown races.
Big races, yeah.
And then we meet Mom, who is the least interesting, where she's a diner waitress.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have any weird tick. She does, she's not wearing a jock strap around her eyes, walking around blind or anything.
See, which is what's nice about this one. The family doesn't really get too involved into the movie as, where others, where we end up ending with have 20 characters we need to follow along and know every little bit of detail. It really just comes down to 5.
Yeah, but I mean, they get involved, and it's involved in the most predictable way.
Yeah.
Where I was talking to Jacob, even before we watched this movie, as reading the plot synopsis, I said, this seems like something where you see those Twitter posts of somebody saying, I made a bot watch 1,000 comedy specials or 1,000 James Bond movies or whatever. And this is the script he came up with. This is like a machine created algorithm for a DCOM. Yeah. And as we go along, that'll be even more clear. And one of the first things we get right away is it's a mom, but it's a single mom. What happened to the dad? The dad is dead. It's not like Stepsister from Planet Weird, where it's just a divorce. No, the dad is dead. He was a jockey, like our main character wants to be, and he seemingly died in a jockey accident.
Yes.
And this is the same year that Rip Girls came out, a movie about a girl who wants to be a surfer, whose mom died in a surfing accident. It's like, oh my gosh. If you're going to have these movies be about, very specific sports...
Separate them by 5 years.
Don't have them be so similar.
No.
So, yes, we learned this about her dad because Corey takes her underwear off of her brother's head, goes to her room, and she takes out a picture of her dad, and... Was he dressed up as a jockey in the picture?
Yeah, she's digging through isn't she digging through that little box? Or
she has a little knick-knack or jewelry box. Yeah. She's got some dollar
in there and stuff, and a picture of her dad who has the outfit, whatever, the jockey outfit or whatever,
I don't know the technical
It's term. Maroon and gold.
Yeah, and she looks at it like those meme pictures of Wolverine looking at a picture.
Wow.
Jacob's not familiar, but somebody out there chuckled. And then it's dinner time, and Corey gotta go in with Mom. Mom, I want to be a jockey. No, you'll die. That's more or less what she said. I don't know about the exact thing. Then Corey runs off being mad, because that's what you do in DCOMs. And then when she's gone, the grandma says, but maybe she should become a jockey. Maybe she'll be like her father. I don't know why I'm talking like this, but maybe she has the gift.
The gift. Yeah, that's what she goes on. She talks about being a gift.
And this is where our horse sense was tickling.
Ding, ding, ding.
By God, I think she got the horse sense.
But at this point...
Because we'll see that, in a way, what we kind of implied...
Acquired.
That, yes, it's genetically passed down. But the way we looked at horse sense, we thought the younger Lawrence brother... It was implied he had some kind of connection to the horse, but it was never a plot point. Where this is like, no, there is a supernatural ability she has. We don't call it the Horse Sense because that'd be a much better name for this movie than Ready to Run. What they do call it, we'll eventually learn it is maybe a weird, awkward translation from Spanish because I sometimes refer to it in Spanish, but they call it the Confidence of Horses.
That's right.
Which would still be a better name than Ready to Run, even though it would be a terrible name for this movie.
And we see it in action soon.
Yep, because Corey that night, after she stormed off from supper, she sneaks out to the stable, which they live very close to, the one run by.
Like right across, like their house is there.
It's not even like across the street, it's just kind of like there. On the property.
Walk out the door and it's there.
So the one run by Mr. Machado, and she goes into the stable and finds the horse that I think is Wookie Cookie, or the one that was going to be destroyed by... on Mr. Garris's command.
And then she's in her night wear, her gown and whatever. I don't know. Nightgown. Just painting a picture here.
So she leads the horse out of the stable and just says, "Go, run free," which the stable just opens up to the wild. It's not even like an enclosed pasture. It's just go run free.
And the horse runs up there, and it started to do like a weird sidestep. And I thought it was like, because I mean, we're told, you know, its ankle or whatever, its leg is messed up and broken. So I thought it was like it'll just like fall and just die dead there. But it starts.
Yeah, it's completely fine to walk off. So, and then it runs away. So, what was the issue that it needed to be killed for?
And it started to do like some bucking, you know, or whatever.
It did the dramatic rearing back on its back legs.
It did like some slow motion too, and we just see it over and over, like going up. And
so yeah, it's seemingly thanking Corey for saving her.
Yes.
And then immediately when she returns to the stable,
she hears whispers.
Yes, she hears voices. And
is anybody there?
Yeah. I don't even know if she says that. She seems very like nonchalant about all of this that happens. We learn that it is the horses talking because we hear Thunderjam say, "Hey, it's me, TJ. I'm talking to you."
Is anybody there? Well, no, because then she says, "Oh, I must be going crazy. It's all the fumes."
Yeah, she was first like, "Oh, wow, I'm really tired." One of those things where, wipe the sand from my eyes. What is happening? But then she says something about the fumes. And we said...
and the horse says something too. What does she mean, fumes?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense where...
The poop fumes?
Yeah, that's the only thing. Is it saying that
Stinky?
The horse poop? But it's like, there shouldn't be any chemicals in her house or in the stable that is making her high and... you know, auditory hallucinations happening. So we learned that her father had this ability to be talking to horses.
Yeah. But we don't
know if like what activated it. Maybe that it was implied that it got activated because she saved that horse. The horse thanked her and bestowed on her because now the horse is confident in her, so she has the confidence in horses. Yeah. Or the other horses are confident with her.
Yeah.
It's not clear. It doesn't matter. Next day at the stable, the guy who is apparently there to pick up the horse to go destroy it
is pissed.
Yeah.
He's got like a truck. He's like, I was supposed to be here this morning ready to take that horse.
I drove all the way out here to kill a fucking horse. I better get a horse to kill.
Garrison ain't gonna be too pleased about this.
I gotta meet my horse killing quota. And then Mr. Machado comes up and says, "Corey, do you know anything about a missing horse?"
And she like tries to, you know, say like, Mr. You know,
she's just
Machado.
like, he was gonna kill her. He's like, I don't give a fuck.
That's literally like what he says. He's like, I knew you had nothing to do with it. It probably just went off and flew away.
And then later that day, Corey is at the races. She's talking with her grandma. And
who's betting with toothpicks still?
Yeah,
200 toothpicks on.
She must have a terrible gambling problem, but has been able to just reduce it to tokenism, where she's able to get the thrill, but just not with actual money. She can just use toothpicks.
So what happens to the toothpicks? Who's she betting them with?
Well, she was betting them with the little brother at times.
Earlier, yeah.
In this scene, she's not.
I think that would have been a great underlying theme: gambling addiction.
Yeah, they could have done a lot of different things to make this movie a bit more interesting than it actually was. But she's asking her grandma, "Grandma, do you think horses can talk?" And she says, "Oh, see, horses talk."
Yeah.
"So can you talk to horses?" No. "But your father, he could talk to horses."
And then she's like, "In English?" Is that what she said? She said, "In English?"
I
think she says in English.
I don't know. So she's starting to gather that, I guess some people can talk to horses. My dad could. We're learning that this could be passed down. This is where we hear the name Confidence of Horses.
Yeah.
And it's been something that other members of Corey's family, the Ortizes, have had.
Yeah. But we don't really know if that actually means, like, physically talk, this sense that she's acquired, or, just that they have a way with horses. They don't really, ever establish that fully, which I think would have been an interesting thing to say, oh yeah, Dad actually could talk to horses.
And then at the starting line, there's horses lining up, and we can hear them all talking to each other. I don't even know if Corey is even realistically within earshot of them, but we're hearing all of them. We're hearing Sinbad. We're hearing...
That's when I heard
Sinbad's horse is named Hollywood Shuffle. Yeah. There's some other ones. There's a girl horse, but I don't remember her name. And I hate it. I hate all the horses talking because they're all stupid sounding, annoying stuff. Yeah. And it's funny.
Overlaying one another. It's just a big mess.
Well, there was also stuff it was potty humor. It's I gotta go. Thunderjam's I gotta go. I gotta go. And I think there was mild poop jokes too, or it's just dumb. Sinbad phoning it in, and I just don't like Sinbad in general. Jingle All the Way is an all-time terrible movie, kind of like Ready to Run, but yes. So Thunderjam, as I said, he's having confidence and other issues.
Bladder issue. Yeah.
So the horse race starts again. The horses run off. Thunderjam is behind at the starting line,
and we get a cut back to Thunderjam in the gate still. I think the jockey says, what's going on, kind of thing, and then I think we start to hear him peeing. Mm-hmm. We hear the horse urinating.
Isn't that funny? The horse is going to pee-pee.
Tinkle time.
He's doing the toilet thing, but there, not in the potty. I hate it. DCOMs have mostly kept away from this kind of lowbrow, just dumb fucking humor.
Well, this could have all been added after they finished the movie. And they're like, God, that was a terrible movie. We got to try to spruce it up a bit here.
While this is happening, this really goofy stuff, we do get a little bit of more of the evil Mr. Garris, who comes up to Mr. Machado, who is on the sidelines watching the race, and he's this evil, sinister, do you have a horse? No, it's because you're fucking terrible, Mr. Machado. And then Mr. Machado's like, well, your horse is taking a fucking piss. And then Mr. Garris is, Hector!
And he storms off with his little buddy. He always has a little lackey with him that never... I thought maybe the little lackey would...
do something evil on his behalf, and doesn't happen.
There was a perfect opportunity for it, too.
Yeah, I kind of thought that's what would happen as well. Yeah, but so, Mr. Garris is pissed that TJ, or Thunderjam, as his parents refer to him, sucks so much, and is just kind of going off with his lackey. Get rid of this horse. I could sell it for a bag of peanuts. And Corey hears, I've got peanuts. And she does. Is that a horse racing food that people eat peanuts at the races?
I don't know.
But I got a bag of peanuts. I'll take the horse. And it's so stupid.
Mr. Garrison's looking at her, and Corey's talking to some guys we'd never see again in the movie ever again. It could have been like Hector, and it could have been... or the mom, people that we knew. She's talking to two nobodies.
Two rough and tough looking cowboys.
Mr. Garrison looks at them.
Mr. Garris, not the South Park teacher.
Mr. Garris looks at them as do I really have to fucking give up this?
Yeah, he's looking at Corey and be like, bitch, please. And then he looks over their shoulder and the bitch
they're pissed.
Yeah, they're giving him the stink eye.
Better fucking do it.
Well, I guess my manly honor the code. I have to sell my horse for a bag of peanuts now. It is the dumbest thing.
And she does. She pushes them into his hands. He takes them and gives them to the lackey.
It's a legally binding.
You overpaid for that horse.
Yeah, it's a legally binding agreement. So Corey has Thunderjam. But guess what? Mom's not happy about Corey having a horse.
How are you going to pay for this horse?
Yeah, even beyond the I don't want you to be a jockey thing, just horses are expensive. Yeah. So that's the first thing she's going for is we can't keep this horse.
I can barely pay for you kids.
True. Their house, not that nice looking, and they
all live in the kitchen.
There's one room seemingly in the house. It's run down, and they live on a horse stable.
Maybe in the stable.
Mr. Machado comes up and says, oh, well, he can stay at the stable. And sure, I'll let him earn his place. He'll pay for his rent and feed and whatever with the races he can enter and hopefully win. So, all right, moms, like, you can keep him, whatever, but you can't ever be a jockey. You hear me? Wag my finger at you. So the next day, Corey's back at the stable, and she finally realizes, that the horses are talking, and specifically that Thunder Jam is talking to her.
Yeah.
And then she starts talking back to TJ, as he refers to himself, when Mr. Machado comes in. And it's one of those things where when one person can talk to another person in a movie, but the other person doesn't hear the telepathic link or whatever, and they start talking out loud, and it's real. Yeah, it's so funny. It's the funniest thing. And then they pee. And they pee everywhere. Horses pee so much. And it's so stupid. So she's talking to Mr. Machado. Mr. Machado comes in and says, "Who are you talking to?" TJ, I mean Thunder Jam. And it's so stupid, especially because later on in the movie,
this is the part in the movie I think we were just like, we're done with this. I think maybe a little
as soon as I saw the kid with fucking underwear on his head, I was done with this. But yeah, it was one of those things where later on in the movie, other people call the horse TJ. So it's believable that she could call him TJ because Thunder Jam is a mouthful. Yes. But then Thunder Jam. He's like, okay, whatever. Thunder Jam says something snide, and then she says, "Shut up, Mr. Machado." Not you.
Well, at this time, too, Mr. Machado is telling her that the horse isn't actually going to race. He's going to be a plug. And he was only telling her that so she wouldn't get all pissy and they could keep the horse.
Yeah, we kind of get the sense that the stable's a little run down. Mr. Machado isn't getting a lot of business because he's a horse trainer. Yeah. So he's not racing horses, at least at this point himself. So we're not really sure what his income is, but he's very nice to take this horse in out of the goodness of his heart. Yeah. Cover everything, and he's not going to be able to get any money off of it.
The Mr. Garris... Why was, they had such like a feud, him and Hector. Why was he housing Wookie Cookie in his stable? That's kind of weird.
Yep.
Who knows?
It's one of those questions. So Corey is just happy that she gets to keep the horse, even though he's not going to race. She takes TJ out to not race, but just ride around. Yep. And TJ comes across a dog.
A poodle.
A little poodle that's growling at him, and Thunder Jam, being such a scaredy cat, gets super scared, goes, "Oh no, it's Dogzilla," which I'm going to say, how does this fucking horse know what Godzilla is that he's able to make a dumb joke about a dog? But when he gets so scared by Dogzilla, he runs away super fast.
And Hector actually starts like timing the horse because he can tell he's booking.
Yeah, we also learned that Thunder Jam's dad had apparently won a Kentucky Derby, so he has good genes. He's just scared. So Mr. Machado is on board. He needs to retrain Thunder Jam so he's not so scared, and they also need a jockey because Corey cannot be the jockey. Yeah. Enter in B. Moody, who had actually been previously shown up in a scene where some guy came up to Mr. Machado and was like, "I got a new jockey for you." And Mr. Machado's like, "No thanks."
Moody's doing some weird little rope tricks, and he's like kind of eyeing up Corey, he's like
winking and be like,
yeah, and he's spinning it. Yeah,
and Corey's just, no.
That was cringy.
And it was pretty funny. And B. Moody is actually played by, I think his name is Jason Doreen, who is Logan Eccles and Veronica Mars, and Terra in the Kingdom Hearts series.
Wow.
But I will say this is probably the best thing I've seen him in because I don't like his work in either of those other things, really. But his background is he is a circus horse rider. So he shows off to Mr. Machado and Corey some of his sick skills.
And I was actually kind of entertained. This might have been like the most entertaining or kind of fun part of the movie.
B. Moody is the best character.
he's like the horse, TJ, whatever's running fast, and he's like jumping off the horse and like running and getting back on, like backwards and sideways. It was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was actually the actor doing it, but we did see that he had some stunt doubles, so I was a little less impressed.
Was he wearing the headset at this time?
I think so. So we see constantly B. Moody, or we'll just call him Moody, he's got a Walkman and he's listening to music, and that will definitely come into play. he is very much, to reference Stepsister from Planet Weird, he is Horse Cutter. Moody is Horse Cutter. They both have very good names of Cutter and Moody.
Yeah.
Corey hates him because she doesn't think nobody should be riding horses except very aggressively to make them go fast, not having any fun.
Yeah, goofy stuff.
We hear Thunderjam talking as well. He hates him.
He was saying, he was complaining about his back or something, probably from
Thunderjam just fucking complains the whole fucking movie.
That's
He's like Larry David in the form of a horse.
Good point.
But Thunderjam basically agrees that he'll let him ride because Mr. Machado is really in on. He thinks Moody is pretty. He's the bee's knees. He's the horse's cock.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
So first things first, they have to renew Thunderjam's confidence. And first off, he is scared of the starting gate. He says he doesn't like the sound of metal. So they put him in the gate. They open it. He doesn't leave. They open it and close it. He doesn't do anything. He bucks Moody off. Oh, jeez.
Like 30 feet. This dude, we don't see him actually do it, but Moody goes flying out of the gate. It's like 20 feet in the air.
Yep. So it's kind of this, shucks. Everybody throws down the towel, kind of breaks up for a bit. We get a nice little scene. There is a subplot in this movie of Mr. Machado and Corey's mom having a bit of a budding romance. Yeah. And that's really the only parts besides Moody that are fun or relatively well done.
Yeah.
But then it gets a little ruined because they're talking to each other and the mom's like, oh, you just work too much. What if you just settled down, finally started a family with somebody? And then Mr. Machado's like, yeah, well, there was this one lady.
There's this one lady. And then it just gets kind of weird. She's like,
so she says 2 or 4-legged.
Oh,
and it's like,
I forgot that weird sex joke thing.
Yeah, you want to fuck a horse? You weird horseman? And then he just is like, I don't know. 2?
Gotta go. I gotta go to work now.
He says, I gotta go work on Thunderjam. Kind of happening simultaneously, Corey has been talking to Thunderjam to convince him to not be afraid of the gate, or at least leave the gate. And she tells him, because he says, hang me up, I'm done. Send me out to stud. And she says, well, if you want to stud, you got to win a bunch of races. So that, with him newly convinced that he needs to do well to be able to stud, we get a sequence of Thunderjam and B. Moody just tearing up the track. Just going all over the place. So he is at least being able to be controlled.
Yes, because he wants to stud. That's his whole.
Yep. If it's not humans having sex with horses, we're just talking about horses having sex with horses. They're just fucking. Just studying is very nonchalantly referred to in this movie because kids probably don't know, but
true.
It's horse fucking.
Yeah. Now you know.
So with the renewed confidence that Thunderjam will actually be able to race, what are we gonna have other than ridiculous wardrobe trying on scene of Moody is wearing a bunch of different outfits to see what his jockey uniform will be.
Not at a store or in the barn. He's in the middle of their house. I guess they do have 2 rooms. They have the kitchen and then they have a living room.
Yeah, they're just in Corey's house, so I don't know where he's getting all this stuff, but he's got like a Toreador outfit. He's got a sombrero. He's got a almost Elvis outfit with tight white pants where they zoom in on his crotch very quickly.
Area. It was weird.
And it's just, jockeys all have to wear similar stuff. I'm sure there's rules regarding what they can wear. Why is this even a scene besides, again, this is a machine saying, this is fun thing. Make them wear lots of hats. Dunstan checks in now. It's so stupid. But it's also one of the only good parts of the movie. So then some other time, Mr. Machado goes to the racetrack owner and says, I got a horse I want you to put in. He's like, all right, hell yeah, Mr. Hector Machado. Who is it? And he says, Thunderjam. And then he says, oh, shit. Hell no to Thunderjam.
No.
And then Mr. Machado.
You owe me this just one time.
He says, I trained him myself. And the guy's like, oh, okay. And then Mr. Machado seals the deal when he says he's ready to run, and we have a title, but Jacob forgot the title at this point, so he did not react when I reacted, and was just very confused. So then, simultaneously, while we learn that Thunderjam's going to be in the race, Corey's hanging out with Moody, and she's like, why are you always listening to music? That's dangerous, because he's riding the horses with headphones on. And he says that I have to listen to music to get into the rhythm with the horse. and he listens to different kinds of music, seemingly with different
Mentions,
beats
like,
per
Led
minute.
Zeppelin or something.
Yeah, for different. So if the horse is galloping, he'll listen to Zeppelin. If it's trotting, I think he said he listened to Pearl Jam and stuff like that. And then Corey puts on the headphones, and we hear none of those bands,
it's
but
a
we hear
song made specifically for this
song
movie.
that has the words "Ready to Run" in it.
Yeah.
Again, Jacob did not pick
I
up on
know,
that, so he
I-
said, "Is this a real song?" I mean, sure, it is a real song in the fact that it is a song that exists, but it is made for the express purpose of making me roll my eyes while watching this movie.
We do hear it 2 or 3 times throughout the movie.
So the team learns that Thunder Jam in this upcoming race is going to be racing against Cyclone, the evil white horse of evil white man, Mr. Karras. So they're kind of watching some tape, because I guess that's maybe something that jockeys do, is watch tape of previous races with rival horses to know what they do and when you can cut around them. I don't feel like there can be that much strategy. Not that I'm trying to belittle the sport of horse racing. And then Corey asks Mr. Machado, 'cause she's noticed some of these little side conversations he's had with Mr. Garrison. What's their history? And he says, well, I worked for him, but hey, he had really good horses at the time, but we had a difference of opinion, so we broke up. And then Corey's like, no, really, what happened? And he
this
says,
is when shit gets dark.
He says, oh, well, I was helped training a horse, and I saw that the horse had a hot foot or some kind of horse term where it was bad. And the vet was checking him out, and it sounded like with pressure from Mr. Garris, the vet ignored the injury for the horse and said it was okay to race. And what did you know, when the horse was racing, he jumped over the rail and something bad happened with the jockey. And this is where Corey says, oh,
my dad was racing.
My dad was riding that horse. And it started out with the way the story he was telling. He's like, yeah, oh, shucks, kind of like chuckling a bit. And then it ends with the father
That's
death.
how your dad died. Oh, shit.
And at this point, the movie has lasted a little longer than we probably have rushed through aspects of it. But, like, the dad being dead was such a small part.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah, her dad died as a horse jockey.
So yes, Mr. Garris.
So, yeah, really crank up how evil he is that he indirectly or helped influence something that led to her father's death.
Yeah. And that never really clicks for her. Like, this could have been like a revenge
because this movie
thing.
is so bad that it's not even really that impactful. That you actually pointed out to me, it's like, oh shit, that means Mr. Garris basically caused her dad's death. And I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. Shucks. Yeah. Man,
it could have turned into like a whole revenge kind of thing. Like, I want to win, let me race and let me win. I want to win for my dad's honor.
But it's not really her motivation. She just wants to be a jockey. And we don't even learn why she wants to be a jockey. She just wants to be a jockey. We don't hear anything like, oh, the wind blowing through my hair, you just feel so alive. And I don't think we get any of that.
And we don't know when the dad died, but it must not have been too long ago because her brother's not that old.
Yeah, and it's not a situation. Well, yeah, it's not. They don't. So they're taking pages from freaking Rip Girls, but they're not taking even the most basic things, because we at least know why Sydney wants to surf. It's because she wants to be more active in her life, and she wants to connect with her mother, who is dead. But she was so young, she doesn't know how her mom died, and she learns that she was a surfer, so that's why she wants to start surfing. She doesn't know how her dad died, even though it couldn't have been that long ago.
Till literally just now, this is how...
And it's not like her dad dying as a jockey is what she is saying she wants to be a jockey for. It's just, she wants to be a jockey. We don't know why, or it doesn't matter. And her dad died, and for some reason she doesn't know, because she's also 14-ish, maybe.
And the brother's like 5.
She would have been at an age where her mom would have been able to tell her. I think realistically, she would have felt good enough to tell her how her dad died.
She was probably at the race when her dad died.
It's...
I just had
an epiphany about how extra bad this movie is.
This whole revelation just opened so many more questions.
Yeah.
We need answers.
Anyways, the day of the race, Thunder Jam's first race, Mr. Garris is pissed that they're using his horse because he sold it for a bag of peanuts, and he wasn't doing anything with Thunder Jam, but he didn't think they would be able to do anything with him, so he's kind of ticked off about that. And Thunder Jam is scared of Cyclone, where we get some lines from Cyclone that is like, remember me, motherfucker?
More or less.
And he's like, I'm gonna get you out there. And it's like, how could horses really get at each other? But we'll learn kind of how.
Yeah.
Corey convinces him, despite his fear, to race. And at the line, Thunderjam is still too scared. He is freaking out. Moody's not really noticing this because he's jamming out with his headset on top of the horse.
Yeah.
And spur of the moment, gates are about to open. Corey pulls down the headphones off of Moody's head and onto Thunderjam. And shit, man, we get the best Blues Traveler song or the best Blues Traveler knockoff to play.
Yeah.
And Thunderjam is off to the races. And he's
ready to run.
Fucking A, dog.
He is, too. He's booking.
Yep. He's doing really well. And they're
like the last stretch. Like they're taking around that last.
They're nearing the
turn.
finish line, which doesn't come as quick as you would think because, again, it seems like they do at least 3 laps of this racetrack.
A lot of turns.
But they're reaching the finish line, and then Cyclone says something sinister.
Yeah.
And we don't really know what happens.
No, I don't know. I was going to say, at first when I saw it, I thought, like, the jockey or the horse kind of pushed TJ or something.
No, there's no evil humans in this besides Mr. Garris. It's only evil horses.
That didn't happen. We rewinded it. We heard Cyclone say something, and then as Cyclone was passing or like out of frame,
there's a lot of awkward cuts. One of them is of Cyclone's foot. The other is of TJ's foot, I think. So it's implied that Cyclone somehow tripped Thunderjam, which would seem like it could easily damage Cyclone as well. Yeah. But what it is they don't want to create an actual horse accident or injury, so they just had to try to create an editing and did a terrible job of it.
And this is another part of the movie, the actual racing of the horses. The footage is good.
I'm sure there's crews out there that specialize in kind of horse videography or something, so they must have brought those on because it's when you're having a horse racing movie and there's action scenes taking place at a race, you want to have good footage of the horses, and they do. Yeah. So that's one point in Ready to Run's favor. So Cyclone wins the race. TJ gets last or second to last place, does very poorly. He's injured, but it's not serious, so I don't even know why they brought up that he was injured. They could have just been like, oh, he tripped, and then that's why he didn't win. But he's going to be able to race again, so not a big deal. Corey's kind of tending to him and then has a mildly sweet moment where she's talking to him, telling him to lay down, and then she's laying down with him. And the mom is watching all of this, and she's like, oh, Dios mío, she has the horse sense. So that's dumb. So they're back on their feet, literally. They're back to racing, and then we get a sequence of music listening because Corey is trying off different songs to see which one Thunderjam likes the most. And Thunderjam is jamming out, headbanging his horse head to the music. So we get segments of that mixed with races. They're winning the races. People are even holding up Thunderjam signs, which is not something I think that happens at horse races.
I've never seen it.
They're not like, Thunderjam 316 says I kicked your ass.
So on top of the cutscenes of us seeing him cross the finish line, there are also like papers and like they
extra read all about it. Thunderjam blowing up the racetrack, and
like the papers gradually like get more important. I think it was in like the USA Today or something.
No, I missed all of that. So then there's a stable-wide shindig to celebrate how good Thunderjam is doing. Yeah. Get a fun little or a nice little moment with Mom and Mr. Machado. They're dancing. For some reason, Mr. Garris is invited to this event, even though I don't think he would be invested in the stable or Thunderjam. But we'll kind of see why he's there.
Like, another little, like, sinister plot that could have been plugged in is the fact that maybe he still had the papers on Thunderjam, and it's his horse. He wants him now that he's successful. It
could have been like the end of Air Bud, where they have disputed ownership, and then Thunderjam, who do you want to go with, me or Corey? And then of course it picks Corey.
They could have,
but there's a special announcement at the party where some random old guy who I guess is important horse racing person comes up to say, I got a special announcement. I've entered Thunderjam in a race. What race is it?
Gold. We hear without him in the Kentucky Derby. He makes Gold Rush, whatever.
It's a Gold Rush Derby. it's a $500,000 tournament.
Yeah,
not tournament
that was a lot
race.
of money. And then Mr. Garrus gets pissed. He's like, "That's for real horses, whatever."
What the fuck is this? And his lackey's like, "It's okay. Cyclone's beat him. Cyclone will beat him again." So apparently, Cyclone is in the Gold Rush Derby.
Yeah.
But Mr. Garrus is pissed enough, and he is trying to take matters into his own hands that he's thinking, "I'm going to just cut Thunder Jam out right now."
Yeah.
So he was walking into the barn. We see him light a cigar very sinisterly. What's going to happen besides that he's a villain, so he has to smoke a cigar.
This would have been a perfect time, too, for his lackey, too, to actually have some purpose in the film.
Yeah, the lackey could have done this. But while this is happening, we cut back to Moody and Corey, who kind of hanging out in... This being a DCOM, I just assumed there was going to be maybe some forced love thing where they kiss at the end. That doesn't happen.
No.
But they're just kind of having...
Moody kisses the horse.
Yeah. But they're just having a fun little moment where they're talking and they're excited about the race.
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, don't you think you should be the jockey? He's your horse and all." And Corey's like, I don't know.
But then she stops because she has a feeling or something.
Well, first she says, "Hey, I can talk to horses." And then Moody says, "Cool, I talk to my hamster."
In English? Maybe that's where that
No,
part
she
came.
just says, "Did he talk back?" And he's like, "What? You're crazy." And that's when her horse sense tingles, because back in the barn,
It's burning down.
Mr. Garrus had left his lit cigar behind in some hay, and it's burning up the stable, just like Ralph Cifarello, I believe that's his name, did in The Sopranos, where he burned down the stable with Tony Soprano's horse, and Tony got very mad.
Rip.
I would have watched this movie if it was just about Tony Soprano owning a horse. And that's basically The Sopranos season 4 is Tony owns a horse. Anyways, Moody and Corey are the only ones to react, even though they're yelling that there's a fire. They're the only one
Moody yells, "There's a fire in the barn!"
Yeah, they're the only ones that get there. Corey's
smoke
leading
is
some
coming
horses out.
Yeah.
Moody is specifically dealing with trying to help Thunder Jam.
Because his blanket, that covers the horses to keep them warm or whatever, is on fire. Whatever.
So he's kind of stupidly, I don't know, trying to pat it, and then he gets it off, but in the process, he has burned his hands.
4th degree burns.
Yes. His hands are gone. They're just stumps. It's just bone and charred bones where his hands used to be. He'll never do lassos and horse tricks again. The horses all get out. Everybody's fine. The only casualty is his hands. So this forces a situation where who's going to be the jockey? Because we didn't mention, but the horse race is like the day after the day of the party, or like the next day.
Yes.
So there's no preparation time.
No.
So Mom's like, "No, Corey, you can't be the racer or the jockey."
Yeah.
And Grandma says, "She was born for this. She got the horse sense." And then Corey had run off, and like that's all it took is the mom's like, "Shit, she does have the horse sense." So she goes and tracks down Corey. And as far as DCOM make good parent moments, this is the absolute worst, because all she is like is, "Well, your dad used to ride horses and he had the horse sense, and you like horses and you have the horse sense, so like I guess I have to let you jockey. I guess I have to let you ride the horse."
Yeah, and like you just said too, like a lot of DCOMs have that father, mother to daughter, or whatever to son, kind of moment, like kind of like heart wrenching,
It's not that Corey was kind of shitty, not like the shittiest DCOM daughter, but she kind of went behind her mom's back, got a whole fucking horse.
That's true.
And she doesn't really earn this. It's just, well, shit, you got this genetically passed down gift. I'm your mom. I'm helpless to do anything. I have to let you do this. Even though, as far as her wanting to be a jockey is such a non-issue as far as being fleshed out, that it's my whole fiber of my being is I want to be a jockey, and I can't tell you why. It's just, whatever. She was going to be a jockey. She was going to ride the fucking horse at some point. This is how we get there. The mom hands off the dad's old uniform that I guess was not bloodstained from his death or something. So she's like, "Oh, we thought she said dad's socks." And then we're like,
that's
what?
We thought too.
Sick, Mom. Thanks for the socks. But it's
everything.
It's a real actual get up. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's what the jockey uniform is called, or socks. I don't know. I do not care enough to look up the terminology of horse racing.
I don't know either.
So the whole crew, including the family, make a road trip to Santa Clarita for the Gold Rush Derby.
The horse is pumped for the ride. Then after he got there, then he complained about it.
Yeah, it's a very...
He said there were 1,002 potholes, not including the ones that he didn't hit.
So some cutting commentary about, hey, maybe we should treat horses better and not having them be in trailers, but racing them is fine.
Yeah, and then killing them afterwards if they lose.
So they get to the race. Oh, it's so exciting. They're getting ready to line up, and then over the intercoms is, just coming in, Thunderjam will not be allowed to use his trademark headphones.
And people are pissed because they've invested all this money into the yellow headphones.
Because, we didn't describe ears. Moody's headphones, who become Thunderjam's headphones, are, kind of a fluorescent yellow-green. Yeah. And then other people have created their own with horse ears on top of them. Yes. So they're wearing these headbands in the audience. They also have Thunderjam signs.
Yes.
The announcer is reading out and they're going, what? In between what he say. So they're not happy. And he's like, Mr. Machado goes up and is like, dude, what the fuck? And it's like, Mr. Garris, put in a grievance. These are the rules. A dog can play basketball and a horse can't have headphones
They
on.
try to explain why the rule was there. It was like, just electronics aren't allowed by the rule. And
it was to not allow extra, not performance, but kind of... You could see if a horse is trained to run towards a light or something, and then they set up an LED light. Yeah. It's kind of understandable, but again, it's basically a beat for beat plot point from another DCOM, A Miracle in Lane 2, because this movie is just a hodgepodge of not necessarily bad, but just a lot of ideas, some of them bad, into a single movie. So this, eventually they don't get to use the headphones, but they have a workaround kind of, which I think would still violate the fucking rules, but we'll get to that. So he can't use his headphones, so, oh no. So Corey, who is the jockey for this race, asks Thunderjam, hey, do you still want to race? Because I know you're scared. And it's like, no, I'll do it. And here you're thinking, oh, this is Thunderjam's arc. He's overcoming his fears. He's getting rid of his crutch, that he's going to be able to show that he can win a race just on his own. Him and Corey, they're going to win it all. So the race starts, but Thunderjam, he doesn't hang out at the gate, but he's doing bad.
Bad. Really bad. He's in last place, kind of just trotting along.
Yeah, he's trailing behind. And we can mention here, because Sinbad featured prominently in the cast listing, but does not feature prominently in this movie, but we get a little bit more of him back at the ranch, or not the ranch, the stable.
Yeah.
There are a couple dumb scenes cut in with all this action
where a goat... Was it a goat?
It was a sheep.
A sheep is letting him out of his...
Yes. So Sinbad's like, hey, sheep, get us out of here. We gotta go watch the telly. And it's like Babe. They must have... Babe, I think, probably came out a couple of years before this, so...
Gordy, though. Then it was after Gordy.
Yeah. Disney probably was more taking a page from Gordy. I can't remember. Babe or Gordy. One of them was made by Disney. I just know. I don't know which, though. But yeah, it involves the sheep, and I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that it's bad.
Oh, that's a good one.
Thank you. So, back to the race. Thunderjam's struggling. Sinbad is back home being like, I knew Thunderjam would fucking blow it. But Moody is also disappointed. But then, hey, I have an idea.
Ding, ding.
He slips off. Where does he slip off to?
The announcer's table.
Because the announcer has a live mic because he's Thunderjam running around.
Moody just starts unplugging shit, and he's plugging in his aux cord into the...
No, he doesn't even do that. He has headphones, not Thunderjam's headphones. He just has regular headphones because aux cords weren't a thing in the year 2000. So what he does is he has big earphones, so really big poofy ones, by the microphone, and they just have the microphone.
Is that what it was? I thought he was plugging stuff into it.
I think he was plugging stuff into his CD player.
Oh, maybe.
And so that's how the volume is getting to the mic to then play the song for Thunderjam, which again still would probably be a violation of the rule because it's an electronic device helping him. But everybody's fucking marking out. They're so happy.
He goes from last to...
it's not even realistic, really, that he could make up that much ground.
I was thinking that too because they were on I don't know, probably the second or third turn, and he was last, and now he's in the middle of the pack. He's fighting to get around, and up to Cyclone is leading the way.
Yeah, and wouldn't you know it, They win.
Bingo.
Hey, big surprise.
He
And
got around Cyclone's block that they'd watched for in the tape or whatever.
And it's not even a good message because he doesn't overcome the challenge.
No.
He still relies on his crutch to get him through it. It's not we were earlier talking about how a different kind of Disney-owned movie, Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah. There's a part where Peter Parker, Spider-Man, is using the Iron Man spider suit, and he's so reliant on the suit, and then he gets it taken away. And the final climax, the final encounter he has at the end of the movie, he has to use his old suit. He has to just use it on his own, and he overcomes that challenge. Weird similarity that we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Had the parallel to this movie, and they learn nothing. Thunder Jam gets the win. He didn't really, well, maybe he cheated to win, but he doesn't grow at all. Because nobody grows in this movie. There's no growth.
They grew their bank accounts by $500,000.
That's true. But Corey gets to be a jockey. We don't know why she wants to be a jockey. We don't know.
What's his name becomes a DJ.
Well,
DJ Moody.
So yeah, we can just get to that. Really, the only other good part about this movie is the end. Not just because it's the end of the movie. But so we see the family is using their money from the race to build a new house. Which is, for whatever reason, still right next to the stable. They didn't want to use their money to move a little bit farther away. No, we get one last call back to the grandma with her toothpicks because the little brother, who we've basically not talked about at all because he's not been in this movie other than putting underwear on his head, says, this house must have cost a lot of toothpicks. And it's, all right, you earned your money. See you in 5 years when you star in one of these movies.
No,
and then we cut to down by the stable. We see Moody in a cowboy hat and some more
gold belt buckle now.
Flamboyant.
He must have got paid somehow.
Cowboy
I mean, I guess he was winning money from all those races leading up to it.
But he's spinning. He's got a full DJ deck in front of him. He's got 2 records. He's scratching along.
The horses are all trotting along to the music. They're starting to dance and stuff. He's like stepping back and
then Thunder Jam comes out and he starts like kind of rapping, and then the movie kind of just fizzles out with that of Thunder Jam being like, "Here I go, dude, that's the me," and then it's like that's the end of the movie. Thanks for watching.
We didn't get anything with the mother and Hector.
Not really any payoff with that.
No.
I'm sure they hook up, but
we needed that. We didn't get a.
That's for a Ready 2 run.
Oh no, no.
So we give a lot of DCOM endings crap for ending abruptly or freeze frames, but quite honestly, this was the worst ending of anyone because before they cut to them being at the house, they win the race. They're by Thunder Jam. Somebody takes their picture and then it fades out from the picture in a frame to them at the house. They could have just freeze framed picture. That's the end of the fucking movie. But like this weird. I mean, I love that we see DJ Moody, which isn't even a bad DJ name. He doesn't even really need to change anything.
I like that.
But just that. Like that. It's just like a wet fart. Just
a balloon's last breath.
Yeah, just the. Limping over the finish line. All right, that's fucking ready to run. And that's what we say. Fucking, that's ready to run.
Ready to run, that's a wrap.
So, this is, I would say, somewhat momentous in that I might say this is the worst DCOM we've watched so far now.
Wow.
I enjoy Johnny Tsunami more than this. And You Lucky Dog is possibly as bad as this, but people may not remember our discussion of You Lucky Dog that much, because it was a fair bit ago. But the ending of You Lucky Dog...
He has a whole bunch of dogs.
Well, no, they have the fucking court case. It ends in a court battle, and the dog almost gets shot because one of the family members takes out a gun. Yes, it's a completely ridiculous last 15 minutes that this movie doesn't have. It doesn't have a ridiculous payoff other than DJ Moody. But everything else, I liked Moody. He was kind of a fun character. The mom and Mr. Machado were okay. I hated, we didn't really even go into it too much, but a lot of voiceover with the animals of Thunder Jam talking a lot. It's completely obnoxious. I hated it. I didn't like Corey. I thought she was not a very good actress.
Not a good actress. I agree there.
I don't know if it's just the way her character was written or just her portrayal, but she did not make me like Corey very much.
No.
And it's a DCOM, but even other DCOMs go far enough to establish reasonable motivations for characters, and we've kind of beat a dead horse at this point. But she wanted to be a jockey because she wanted to be a jockey, and that's all there was.
Like you said,
all it could have been was I wanted
to her dad.
Yes, exactly. I want to connect to my dad because I didn't know him that well, but they didn't even do that. It's just, I want to be a fucking jockey.
They missed. There was a lot of potential for this movie to be a whole lot better.
Yep, I'm not gonna cry myself to sleep over what could have been with Ready to Run because it's just a speed bump on our long journey. Hopefully this is the biggest pothole on our road ahead.
This is 1002.
Hopefully this is the worst one we have, but somehow I don't know if we can guarantee that.
No, of all the movies that we've watched, I've pretty much to some degree remembered them. So either I maybe saw this movie once or just completely blocked it from my memory.
And also, depending on what we watch, they're all roughly 90 minutes and they all kind of go fast for me in the sense that I am taking notes that, helps them move along.
Yeah.
But
this one
you said
dragged on. I was like, how far are we in? Oh, there's still a half an hour left. And then it was at that point where I'm like, where's the conflict? And I think that's maybe where the fire. No, I didn't think that's when the fire happened. Something had happened to at that point. But it was like, Jesus.
Yeah, it was one where it felt more like homework to do than any other episode. And again, it wasn't fun it's not a fun hate watch. It's not good, bad, or anything. It's You Lucky Dog was very close to what this movie was if it didn't have the ridiculous ending. But this was just kind of nothing really to enjoy from beginning to end.
Moody.
Yeah, I'm moody about this whole movie. I think that's all of our final thoughts, really.
Yeah, that's good.
So
that's enough.
That's us. We're a whole new pod. If you want to cheer us up,
there are better.
You can write us if you want to cheer us up from this doldrum, this pit of deep depression that Ready to Run has put us in. Not since the likes of Johnny Tsunami, but I at least will say I think this episode should be better than the Johnny Tsunami episode.
Audio wise,
I don't even know if that was an audio episode. I don't think I felt very comedic that episode, but I think we had good stuff here. But if you want to write and say that I'm wrong, Johnny Tsunami is the best DCOM. Johnny Tsunami was our best episode, and this episode wasn't very funny. You can write us at awholenewpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at awholenewpod, all one word. I point to Jacob.
You can follow me on Twitter and watch my tweets about sports at Jacob_Telejohn, JACOB_TELLIJOHN.
I like do you watch tweets? Is that what you do, Grandpa?
Tweet about sports.
I'm out there. What do you get off your phone? You watching the Twitter? You reading the Facebook? All right. Jeez. So follow us on Spotify. Rate us on. It's Apple Podcasts generally, but actually for Windows users like myself, where I use that to update my iPhone. Yeah. Not with podcasts, though. But iTunes still exists on the Windows platform, so we can kind of still say rate us, review us on iTunes.
If you are Sinbad, we're sorry you were in such a
I'm not.
movie.
If you're Sinbad, fucking die. Sinbad, you're dead.
Cut it. End it.
What has Sinbad done of worth in this world?
Jeez. Shots fired.
I think
he's pissed.
The only way we can go out with is something from a classic Sinbad movie, which is put that cookie down.
Oh boy.
Ah!
Listen to this voice inside, 'cause I'm ready to run, I'm ready to fly, I'm ready to reach my dreams and touch the sky. Now I can see, now I believe, if I just listen to my heart. Keep talking to me, 'cause I can hear you, I can hear you, I can hear you, I can hear you.
Singers and models, anyone in particular?
Madonna and Paula Abdul.
Really, that's a good choice. And Dwayne, I was wondering, what fashion trends do you follow?
Well, I usually look in magazines or see what the kids at school are wearing.
Dwayne!